Dustin Rhodes is taking the spot for his brother, Cody Rhodes, who's not medically cleared. And Sammy Guevara is getting his rematch for the interim TNT title match. And so Cody is still essentially the champ, but Sammy Guevara is holding down the belt until he gets back, until they have a grudge match. Yeah, so before we talk about the match, what do you think of AEW's kind of idea? I know they are probably throwing a swerve last minute because of certain scenarios, but they kept the title on the line for Battle. Do you think this was only because it was Battle of the Belts, or do you think this is kind of like something they've had in their back pocket just in case?
I struggle with like why take the belt off of Sammy only for him to get it back. For Cody to be out of the picture. It just is. It felt. This was one of the few things where like it felt weird going into the match. I didn't really understand, and AEW tried to explain it with Cody being injured, but I feel like at that point, either he gets stripped of the belt or you don't have the title defended. I had a hard time wrapping my head around the logic of this going into it, being honest with you. But about halfway through the match, I stopped caring about that altogether, and I fell in love with what these guys were doing.
You're right.
But yeah, I did struggle a little bit with like how this was presented. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. Like it. And for Sammy to win the belt, I don't know.
The match was fantastic.
I'm struggling a little bit with like the whole why this match had to happen. But beyond that, the match itself was fantastic. I think Dustin's, man, like some of the moves he started pulling off, that Canadian Destroyer through the table in particular to Sammy was brutal and perfectly executed. But I love Dustin bringing out the crossroads, back-to-back crossroads on Sammy.
It was fantastic.
And although he, like, there were times when you were wondering, is he slowing down the pace because he's struggling to go? It made a lot of sense when you think about, all right, this is a bigger guy. He's older than Sammy. He's a veteran in the game. Why is he going to play into Sammy's strength and like go at this rapid pace and just like blow himself up on cardio? He slowed down the match. He used his physicality. He used his size. He bullied Sammy at times in this match. I thought it actually worked really well as a counter to Sammy, because so often we love to see Sammy in these matchups where he gets a chance to go against guys his size, and he gets a lot of athleticism and crazy spots that go on. It was kind of cool seeing him against a guy who slowed it down and used his size and experience against him. It was an interesting role reversal, I think, from what we've usually seen.
I think this was paced very well, and with enough high spots, enough offense, so many fantastic false finishes in this match. If I had to give a top performer of the last 48 hours, it would be Dustin Rhodes. I think because we haven't seen him in the ring, he just wowed me, all experience, all whatever age difference aside. I think the stuff I saw to him in terms of, he's so smart in the ring. When Sammy was outside by the steel steps, instead of smashing his head, he smashed his knee, and then he pile drives him on the outside. And then the Canadian Destroyer through the table was absolutely epic and perfectly done. Everything about it. I think he has Dustin Rhodes, the natural, he's the total package. It's a reason why he's been wrestling for 3 decades or more. It's just, he wowed me for sure. And the gripe I have about this match is the finish. And I will say it, I hate roll-up finishes. And then over the last 48 hours, we saw multiple roll-up finishes. I hate them.
Yeah, you are.
I cannot stand a roll finish unless it's for a medical emergency reason. If 2 guys are battling it out, or women battling it out, their hearts out and risking it all, and you're going to just have a cheesy roll-up finish, I can't stand it. That is the biggest heel. You're laughing because you're a heel and you like those roll-up finishes. You're one of those where it would have the cheat to win video games, GoldenEye, the golden gun.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, I would be all for it. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I'm glad to hear you stick. I love hearing you stick up for the. Hey man, like I said, I think like roll-up finishes. It's a part of the game, dude. You always got to be keeping your head on a swivel. You got to keep your head on a swivel. Hey man, they were going back and forth on the pin attempts. I thought it worked out really well. I thought it was kind of interesting. And this match was a story of gamesmanship. You know, it was like the veteran using his tricks up his sleeve against a guy who's younger, more getting into his prime.
Right.
A guy who has a motor for days. You know, Dustin, it was this gamesmanship. Sammy, there is a point in the match where Sammy literally got up at the top rope, threw his arms back. He was toying with Dustin at points too. I love this cat. It was a cat and mouse game on both sides of it. And it protects Dustin a little too, man. I mean, honestly, like this kind of finish, Dustin showed out. I actually was kind of pulling for Dustin at points during this match because I feel like Dustin versus Cody would have been a really cool, with gold on the line, would have been a nice callback.
I think it would have been great to see Dustin have that.
And it would have been cool for Dustin to have that moment. I don't really know what they're doing with Sammy right now. It felt like Cody beating him was like maybe a punishment to what happened. I don't know. It feels very odd what they're like. I think they're being very cautious with Sammy right now. He could be a guy who teeters between babyface and heel right now. I'm getting some vibes of like with Sammy's character that he could be walk that fine line. Obviously, he's going to be pure babyface going against Daniel Garcia, though.
That's right, man. I had to wear. I know Cody wasn't there, but I had to wear my Nightmare Family shirt.
Representing.
And I love Dustin's in-ring gear, that American flag, red, white, and blue. But this one, man, was an incredible way to start the show. I really love this match, and it delivered and then some. And it's going to give us another great match, like we talked about earlier, Daniel Garcia versus Sammy Guevara.